Hello, Summit County. I'm Dave Rossi here at the Summit County Resource Allocation Park. What I like to say is the most beautiful landfill in the country. I'm going to go with the country. I'm here today with Scrap Director Aaron Byrne. I'm also here with Commissioner Eric Mamula. And we're here to talk about a few things today, but number one, 466 acres here. Aaron, talk to us about when it came online and what your plans are long term.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for being here. We have 466 acres here in Summit County. Very fortunate to have that kind of footprint. But we do only have currently 96 acres here at Scrap that were permitted through CDPHE to place trash. And we do recent or updated waste audits and life expectancy calculations here at Scrap, and we have an estimated closure of 2078 currently.
And so, Aaron, we've got this new program that's already in effect and working out at Town of Frisco and Town of Breck. It's called Pay As You Throw. For those of you who live in those towns, we think it's working pretty well. This was created and designed to help extend the life of the landfill. So, Eric, tell us about sort of the reasoning behind this and what our diversion rate kind of looks like and what that would mean for life of the landfill.
So currently our diversion rate in the county is about 21%. We're looking to get to 40% by 2035, but the only way you can do that is to get trash out of here, and that's recycled goods, compost, because everything else that's trash that goes in this landfill decreases that life that Aaron was talking about. Every 5% you can gain on that diversion rate, we can extend the life of the landfill by 3 to 5 years. And so what happens when the landfill, we're at the end of the life, we're shipping trash down to Denver or some other alternate site, and we just really don't want to do that. And in conjunction with that, this property never goes away. It will always have to be monitored. County will always spend money here. It'd be better just keep this as the Scrap, let our wonderful employees like Aaron take care of this site, and so that's the goal. So your goal is to recycle more. We have an abysmal rate of recycling in the county, to be honest with you, compared to other places in the country. The more you recycle, the longer this thing lives, the better it is for all of us.
Well said, Eric.
Yeah, that's great. And we are at Summit County, for those of you living in unincorporated Summit County, will be implementing Pay As You Throw. And I think, 20% recycling rate would get us to 2091. I think that might be your last term, finally.
If I make it out of here today.
That's right. So Aaron, talk to us about what you're doing with tip fees. Tell us what tipping fees are, and here it's been a long time since you've raised any rates. Is that coming up?
Yes, thank you.
Leading
Good question, Dave. So our tip fees here at the landfill, obviously that's the charge for bringing the trash to the landfill, to Scrap. We have two big tip fees that we like to highlight. Municipal solid waste. That is the waste that comes in generated from the residential and commercial generators. We currently have a price for that MSW at $58 a ton. And another big component of our waste composition here at Scrap is C&D, construction demolition material. And that's a really big focus of the counties right now. That's some low-hanging fruit that we're working on, looking at some implementation on diverting more C&D here in Summit County. But we recently just did a rate fee analysis with our engineer and consultant, and we were able to present that to the BOCC a couple weeks ago, and it was a really good discussion. A lot of good questions came about based on that rate study. The proposal and the short story is that the rate study determined that we are very low based on our model here at Scrap and what we need to do to be successful. And that rate analysis vetted out a lot of good information. One is that the rate proposed it scrap for municipal solid waste from $58 a ton would be increased to $80. And then the increase for construction demolition material would go from $72 to $85. So that, if we look at that over the course of tip fees and what we've done over years and making adjustments, we haven't raised our tip fees here at Scrap since 2010. And as a matter of fact, we decreased our tip fees in 2017.
That's nice of us.
It was nice of us. I can say, being in the landfill industry for 24 years, I've never heard of a landfill decreasing tip fees. So, yes, it's been a while since we raised tip fees, but we've gone through this analysis and there's a lot of justification, and so we're working through some of the details now to see what that looks like, and then hopefully we can make a recommendation here and start looking into the next phase.
So, Aaron, you have been working with stakeholders and contractors and talking to them, and High Country Conservation Center. What kind of feedback are you getting from contractors on how that would work here?
Great question, David. So we are currently we're working with a C&D advisory committee, and we're going through a C&D process based on a diversion plan that we created several years ago, and basically we're looking at other ways that we can extend the life of the landfill by diverting more construction and demolition. And how do we do that? Well, we've identified the low-hanging fruit, and a lot of it is developed, or a lot of it starts at the origin of new construction. We have a lot of new construction here in the county, and I think if you look behind us, you can see the amount of waste that's coming into the landfill on a daily basis. So through this process, the contractors have been very supportive. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from the community. We're working through some of the details on what that plan kind of looks like so we can make a recommendation to the BOCC. But at this point, we're getting a lot of good positive feedback and support, and feel like that's the next big step to move that needle. When we talk about 20% diversion here at Scrap, it's to accomplish our goal of 40% by 2035. We have a lot of work to do. And when Eric says we need to recycle more, that's a factual statement. We need to be doing a better job here in Summit County to extend the life of the landfill.
Yes, we
do. A lot of times people just think that we talk about recycling strictly for the, it's the planet. It's everybody recycles. It's a thing you should do because it's better for the planet. But honestly, we have a real homegrown reason to recycle here, and that's the life of this landfill, and it's super important. And I know all Aaron ever thinks about is diversion. The more he can divert out of this landfill that's not trash and doesn't get buried, the longer the life is, the easier his job becomes, the better things are. So, anything you can do to help, I'll make that pitch again. It's really, really important that everybody recycles.
And I guess my last question is, I heard a rumor that commodity prices for recycling has gone up. Tell me about that, because I remember not too long ago, we were paying people to take away our recyclables. What's happened?
I thought you were going to ask that question. Thank you, Dave. So, yeah, that is a great question, and I think it needs to be highlighted. For the last several years, we've been paying to tip and process our recycling here in Summit County, especially the commingled, the single stream material that comes through our facility. Still to this day, the source separated, the public drop-off centers bring the highest value for those commodities because of the cleanliness of that material. But currently, we are getting paid and we are getting a rebate for all the recycling that's coming through our facility. And that is a huge step. That helps us with our model. That should be an incentive for us to recycle more. So that's a great story in my opinion. And we haven't had that and been able to have that news to share for a long time. So we're super excited about that.
That's fantastic. Last point. The construction and demolition, MSW, all the fees, the tipping fees that we're talking about, you're not just raising them for, the sheer enjoyment of raising fees. Commissioner, tell us
Yes.
exactly why we would like to recover that and what those funds go to.
Like, I don't think there's anybody watching this right now that doesn't realize that prices across the board have gone up. And considering that this facility hasn't raised tipping fees since 2010 and then actually lowered them in 2017, pretty much tells you all you need to know. There are expenses that go with running, honestly, a world-class landfill like Aaron runs here. And it's important that we make sure that this is maintained at the highest quality, because the environment around, beneath, and above this landfill is really important to the residents of the county. And that's why it needs to pay for itself, and the way it pays for itself is through an increase in those tipping fees. So hopefully the haulers will work with the scrap and with Aaron and make sure that the residents and commercial businesses in the county don't pay any more than their fair share on these tipping fees. So, and we're working with them on that.
Fantastic. Well, thanks you guys for being here. It's good to be out here. We're just going to run down and see if we can find any low-hanging fruit down the landfill. It might be rotting.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thanks for being with us.